Glass, Chapter 6, Part 2. "Your niece is very pretty," Mr. Lorenzo said to Dika that afternoon, "like her great-aunt." "Oh, Mr. Lorenzo," Dika slapped his shoulder, "like her mother." "Sometimes when old people look at me, they say that I am on the road to looking like my mother. I attribute it to cataracts." "But she doesn't have a boyfriend," Dika lamented. Her eyes flicked at me in the mirror. She winked. She was playing matchmaker. I looked out the window past the rolling hills to the Sierra Madre mountains and hoped Dika would drop it before Angel woke up. "No boyfriend?" Mr. Lorenzo said dramatically. I glanced at Angel, and luckily his breathing was still steady, his lips slightly parted, his head leaning against the other window. "No boyfriend," Dika repeated. I prayed she would stop here. "Boys do not look at you," Dika had told me bluntly one day at the pool, "and this is your fault." I tried to ignore her, hoped the college guys dunking each other hadn't heard her. That night I'd asked Mom if she thought it was my fault. She was more delicate. "Sophie," she told me, "you send the message that your body and your mind and your soul, none of it is anyone's business." Juan offered another opinion. He said that guys my age can't look at true beauty in the face. It scares them, blinds them like the sun. They feel more comfortable with mediocre girls, he said. Mediocre prettiness, mediocre minds. I liked Juan's explanation best, but really, Dika was right. It was my fault. Boys scared me, like nearly everything else in the world. That evening, Angel was driving, and I was next to him. It was dusk, and the mountains were dark silhouettes against the purple sky. The others were asleep in the back seat. A bizarre family, Dika in her blue and white striped tube top, her tan freckled arms around skinny little Pablo. On the other side, stout Mr. Lorenzo in his flannel shirt. Dika's and Mr. Lorenzo's heads leaned against each other, touching, forming a strange upside-down triangle. Here, on our little van planet, everything felt comfortable, as if I was exactly where I was supposed to be. Angel wore his sunglasses, despite the growing darkness. "Why do you always wear those shades?" I asked. "'Cause your skin's so white it glares." "Oh, thanks." I reached out and punched his arm jokingly, the first time I'd ever touched a guy that way. I put my feet on the dashboard, pressed them against the windshield, leaving imprints on my toes, the soles of my feet. "Why are you so white, Lime Girl? Why isn't your skin dark like your dad's?" "Juan's not my real dad. My real dad left days after I was born." "What an idiota." "It wasn't his fault. I stunk. I cried too much. I was skinny and ugly. So he left." "Fathers don't leave 'cause of an ugly baby." "You've never seen my baby pictures." "And your mom's so hot," he said. "Why would anyone leave her?" I rolled my eyes and looked out the window. "Why does your mom think he left?" I reclined the seat and stared at the torn fabric of the ceiling. "My dad was in trouble with the law, dealing acid. He jumped bail and left the state, but my mom wouldn't go with him. She had her prenatal visits, and I was a high-risk pregnancy. She ended up having an emergency delivery, and he came back to see her. He wanted her to come with him, but I had to be in an incubator for a while, so she said she was staying, and he left." "So it wasn't that you were ugly," Angel said. "According to Mom, no," I admitted. "I get the feeling she thinks my dad was a loser, but I've seen pictures. I was 4 pounds and scrawny and cried all the time. I was ugly. Really ugly, red and wrinkled and skinny, like a little alien." "Well, lots of ugly babies turn out pretty. He probably knew that." I shrugged. "It's too late to change. It's an idea I've had for so long it's ingrained in me. My curse." My voice was shaking, so I closed my mouth. Your curse? Forget it. It's complicated. After a while, Angel said, Hey, I never told you the real reason I wear shades all the time. I was grateful he changed the subject. Okay, why do you wear shades all the time? Your beauty would blind me without them. My stomach leapt. I made a sound, which I intended to be a sarcastic snort, but it ended up sounding like a strangled laugh that got stuck coming out. Angel had a way of drawing Pablo out of his shell. His sunglasses and gold chains clearly left Pablo in awe, yet he was willing to play silly games and be goofy with Pablo, which I'd never tried. I'd first seen Pablo as a traumatized boy, something terribly fragile, and it was hard to shake that image. Another thing that surprised me was how much Pablo loved Angel's stories of barely surviving deadly adventures, a topic I'd never brought up for fear of unearthing bad memory. Talk for unearthing bad memories. I liked listening to Angel's stories too. That way he could talk, and I didn't have to worry about saying anything stupid. Later that night, Angel and I got into the back seat with Pablo, and Mr. Lorenzo drove along the nearly deserted Route 15 with Dika beside him. The headlights shone lonely in front of us, and we were cozy in the back seat, Pablo leaning against me, eyes fixed on Angel, mouth half open. The cumbia song, Siguiendo la Luna, following the moon, was playing, and ahead the moon was rising, full and huge and orange near the horizon. Once in a long while, everything lines up perfectly, and you think, wow, this is life, and I am living it. This is what I was thinking when Angel said suddenly, I'm used to dying. What? I said. I've almost died 4 times. Every time, a woman saves me.